The project is in Redlands, California. It is a commercial building for Lamps Plus, which is a huge manufacturer and retailer and wholesaler of lamps and other items. And basically what they were experiencing was one of their doors, which is encased in the concrete tilt-up walls, was no longer opening and closing properly, and so that's why they called us. Yeah, so once we got out to the building, they took us back through the warehouse to show us the door. It's just a simple man door, but what had happened was there was a bunch of cracking coming through the concrete surrounding the door from the inside and the outside. And what we determined and what the engineer determined was it was expanding, the rebar inside the concrete was expanding and causing basically a swelling effect, which was then causing the concrete to break and crack, which was then putting pressure on the steel door, which is causing it to bend, which was causing it to not be able to be open. So the property manager showed us everything with that. We took some pictures, documented everything that we could, and basically did the repair off the engineer's request, which was removing the steel door, cutting it out of the frame, repairing all the cracks, treating the rebar, sealing the cracks with an epoxy, and then sealing the outside and the inside with carbon fiber, and installing the new door so that there's no more tension on the door frame itself. So rebar expansion can happen in all types of concrete, often not so much in a tilt-up building that's above ground. And in this case, basically what had happened was the water had risen up from the ground level, which was still 4 feet below the door, but had come up, expanded the rebar, and caused it to crack. You will see it in footings and slabs. In all different cases, it depends on water content in the soil, what types of soil it is, how close you are to the ocean, salt indexes, and all that. And basically, what happens is if there's a little bit of an opening in that concrete and water gets in there, that rebar starts to suck it in and causes the rebar to expand, and which causes the concrete to crack. So yeah, after the door was removed and replaced on the building, what we started to do was we prepped the concrete. So that consists of us actually grinding down the surface of the concrete on the inside and the outside of the building. And what that does is kind of brings out the aggregate, makes it a better surface to adhere the epoxy and the carbon fiber to. And so after that is all ground down and then clean, we put a layer of epoxy on there, smooth it out, make sure it's got good coverage. Then we put the carbon fiber strap down across the area as well and make sure it's stuck on there pretty well, and then put another layer of epoxy on top of that, again smoothing it out with basically a putty knife, making sure all the carbon fiber is covered on the back side and the front side so it has proper coverage. And then from there it basically hardens and it ultimately turns into an exterior rebar, but it takes about an hour for everything to harden up with the epoxy. Close after the work is done, if the carbon fiber is on the exterior of a home or a building, you do want to cover it, even with just a simple exterior paint or spray paint can be used, or if you want to restucco it, depends on what you're using. Obviously the more protection the better, but it does have some UV protection in itself, but it actually does need to be covered by paint or something else, so that way the sun can't damage it and wither it away over a long period of time. It would take quite a long time, but we encourage the protection so that way it doesn't ever happen. This client, for instance, on this concrete tilt-up, got a brand new door and got the cracks in the rebar repaired that was around the frame of the store. It's really important in this case because the store is an access point in and out of the building, which you obviously never want to shut one of those off, and before we were there they could barely open the door, so it is a bit of a hazard. So the client is happy now that they can use that door, gets out to one of their parking lots, and if they ever need it in a case of emergency, it's available. Same thing goes residential or commercial. Anytime you have failing concrete, you want to repair it. You want to make sure it's strong and doing its job, whether it's a tilt-up or flat work or footing. So we appreciate you though taking the time to watch this, and appreciate you making it this far in the video. If you have any needs whatsoever, feel free to reach out to us. Never settle.